What's going on, everybody? Now there's quite a few things. Actually, there is so many things that I would like to discuss with you. I can't go through them all, even though throughout the last couple of years I've been making videos. I have tried, and there's been multiple videos that I have made entirely about George Soros, and among others. Now there's other people, billionaires, that have the means to pull off their own psychological operations, their own, social movements, and pay protesters to do their dirty work to sway the public opinion. But none so as effective as George Soros, and none so as even come close to throwing around the kind of money that George Soros has. And we'll get into that. So I'm going to read a couple of articles and give my 2 cents and whether it's worth anything or not. But George Soros and his incredible growing disinformation foundation, they say it their best. This article by Hayden Ludwig. When leftist billionaire George Soros moves money, it's bound to make waves. His latest move, depositing a gargantuan $18 billion to his Open Society Foundation, has left many wondering if the 87-year-old's signaling is approaching, exiting from the politics. Meaning, is he going to die soon? And doesn't matter if he does die soon, because what he has started is his own empire, is his own legacy. And it is gaining momentum on their own without their millions of dollars donated from George Soros. It's also made the OSF, a group never short on cash, the second largest foundation by assets in the United States, after the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. According to federal filings from 2014, the OSF holds assets totaling roughly $1.757 billion. With total annual revenues of just over $173 billion. It's $1/10 of a trillion, almost $200 billion. I don't like that amount of money that these guys have and can play around with, donating to whatever foundation they choose, basically taking it over, much the way we just seen Hillary Clinton with the DNC. Everything is and has always been about the money. If you follow the money, you find the people really behind pulling the strings and moving the pawns in this gigantic matrix reality that we're living in, constructed by those people I just mentioned. So the move appears consistent with the wizened billionaire's decision to cede partial control of his political and non-profit operations to the Open Society Global Board, which includes his children, Jonathan, Andrea, and Alexandra as board members. This board oversees some 40 non-profit globally disseminating Soros Open Borders. Now listen, this board oversees some 40 non-profits. What do you think those committees and those communities, those groups are doing with the amount of money that's being donated? All right, let's move on from this article, because there's a few things I want to show you guys. So, this is the Center for Community Change. This is one of George Soros's main movements, or the backing. He has donated more money to this certain. This center is one of the most crooked. On face value, and if you just start looking at them and researching them, they seem, they're philanthropic and they're nice and they're doing the right thing. But once you start, like I say, following the money and seeing what these groups are actually responsible for, we are way past calling for an uprising. At this point, the way things are going in this nation, what we are seeing with Hillary Clinton and the way the media is handling all of these things, this is the end of your freedom if we do nothing about it. If our voices are not heard, then players such as George Soros, though believe me, there is a whole shitload of these players, but they just don't happen to throw, 137 million at a certain cause. They're much more discreet, and they're working towards a new world order. Admittedly, not my words, not my words. I'm just quoting what all of them have said. All the major players in the world. Let me get on with it. Only social movements can create social change. Now we remember what happened in Ferguson. What we see? We see George Soros throw $33 million at what? Social change. Created the group Black Lives Matter. Very, very divisive because the way they were handling all of it. And once again, admittedly, they ran ads for paid protesters. Now, as I will show you later on, he has every intention of doing these things, getting these social movements rolling, so he can cause a climate in this nation in which everything is so hostile, people are so divided, that it is very easy to slip between the lines and take control of certain powers, certain functions, municipalities, corporations, companies, residentials, whatever the case may be. It's power that they are after. And once we've seen this happen, I mean, in Egypt, in Libya, in Venezuela, they cause a coup, they bring people in the middle of it and have some type of thing spring, like the Arab Spring, and then these are all orchestrated by factions such as the CIA, which are really just the highest bidder on which one of the major billion/trillionaires have decided they want it to go. And this isn't speculation. This is through years and years and years of researching shit. And I do my homework, I do my due diligence, so I know what I'm talking about. And if there ever was a time where the human species, the human race, society in general as a global community has been in danger, it's now. I mean, CCC works to build movements. Keep in mind, this is one of the biggest pets of these satanic, I don't even know the word for them. I mean, we should start calling people Soroses as a term for it, because he is in his own category. It's genius in the fact, that the amount of moves ahead that he's thinking, and obviously backed by the capital he has to achieve these goals. I mean, it is truly genius, but it is evil. It is not in the benefit of mankind. It's in the benefit of one person overall. I mean, I'm just showing you guys this so you see it. I hope you're reading it. It starts at field organizing. Then they get media attention. So basically, remember when we seen CNN staging, and we've seen this more than once, staging a protest, or so it would seem. They position 9 or 10, maybe 11 people together holding up signs. They sit there and freeze, and then they take pictures. They did the same thing with the first Syrian gas attack that was proven to be bullshit, just like the second one was, but that's besides the point. So that's how they do it. Then they go on to the digital campaigns, and that's kind of at the same time. Once the media throws it, then the digital campaigns, things like, people like you and I and other people who want to know the truth, they go digging for things and they find certain things that come out first. And that's the propaganda. Those are the things you have to weed out, because they spend a lot of money, they pay a lot of people for disinformation. And like I had just previously shown you, disinformation is the name of the game. And it has been for quite some time, since Joseph Goebbels and many other propagandists and social manipulators to date. After that, rallies and events also staged. Black Lives Matter campaigns and rallies, protests staged. Antifa going to these events, causing this chaos. Today, November 4th, was supposed to be the day of doom, supposed to be the first day where these protests start and don't let up. I mean, it's going to keep going, and this is a self-perpetuating type of campaign where it feeds off itself. And the more people that buy into it, the stronger it gets. So that's why, in many videos I say, please, please do not get caught up in the divide and conquer strategy. Do not buy into it. But after the rallies and events, then come the lobbying. And the lobbyists and the lobbyist visits. That's when it gets into the government. That's when you got those people like George Soros giving the people way down at the bottom, the field organizers, the money to get the things in between. And then once it comes lobby time, if they've successfully moved up this ladder, well then guess what? He has another $20 million he can pay for whatever bill, or that's the thing. They don't even make a certain bill about whatever interest they are. They fit them into other bills, other legislation. So you might have something about fixing the sidewalks and the curbs in New York City, and really what it's about is making the stop and frisk more thorough, instead of just doing it there, bringing them down to the police station. Those are the things that they slide into these bills that are completely irrelevant, but that's what lobbyists do. So, and I apologize, for a lot of the things that I'm not going to get to, but hopefully I can make another video. So, yeah, disinformation, right? That's what I wanted to show you. There's more, though. There's a lot more. And look at this, the importance of this certain topic, and it is through all things. It stretches through the media. It stretches through the lobbyists, like was just shown. Like everything I'm telling you guys, I'm showing you the facts behind it, so it can't be debated, because I'm not speculating. And if I do, I will say that's what I'm doing. I just want to show the danger, and that's what it is, of certain people in certain factions manipulating things as the media, manipulating people of power to what they want. And obviously that happens, I understand, but there is supposed to be a group of many checks and balances to prevent things like this. But we are so corrupted, we are so infiltrated by people that are just greedy of power and money, that they care absolutely nothing about the constituents in which they represent. They don't care about the country that they are representing. They don't care about the oath that they took to defend that country and the way of life. They don't care about any of those things. So like I was saying, there's many more people. This is just one that I found. Many more articles about. So Soros, Kellogg, Ford foundations gave millions to the anti-Trump resistance group. And when you watch the mainstream media and there's a rally and they refer to everybody, all the white people, as KKK or neo-Nazis, and everything else. These people, these corporations, these individuals paved the way and paid the way so that happens. Major left-wing foundations have given millions of dollars to a leading anti-Trump resistance group. And in that chart I just showed you guys with the ladder, it shows how these things are done, and it showed you about that media. That is a very key picture that comes from the organization itself. So it's not somebody perceiving it to be that way. That's the way they say they set it up. So keep that in mind. The W.K. Kellogg Foundation, the Ford Foundation, and the Open Society Foundation have channeled millions of dollars to the Center for Community Change. According to a 2015 tax documents obtained by the Washington Free Beacon, the documents provide a rare glimpse into the relationships between big progressive donors and the left-wing activists who have mobilized against President Trump and other Republican lawmakers. As a 501c3 organization, excuse me guys, I gotta go outside real quick, the center isn't required to publicly disclose the source and nature of its donations. Sorry about the interruption. I had to take care of something real quick. The W.K. Kellogg Foundation gave $3 million to the Center for Community Change. The Ford Foundation gave another $2.3 million to the center, while the Open Society Foundation provided another $1,750,000 to the center, as revealed by the documents. I mean, the Open Society Foundation is the personal project of left-wing mega donor George Soros, who has previously backed other anti-Trump resistance groups related to public schools, teachers, and I had other articles that I wanted to show you guys. His connections with Planned Parenthood, you know, and so many things he's involved with behind the scenes that it doesn't matter. You would like to think he might have a certain political leaning that he's, you know, he's trying to see get ahead or helping them out, in which but that's chaos. He wants, you know, and that problem, reaction, solution for anybody who doesn't know. But you know, on the back of the dollar, when an ordo there's the corner, that order out of chaos is exactly the method that has been tried and true for a very long time. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. Left-wing activist group Indivisible, one of several groups launched as a direct response to Trump's election, is a project of Advocacy Fund, a progressive advocacy group that funded by Soros, Open Society Policy Center, and the Daily Caller first reported. Resistance group Refuse Fascism, which has consistently organized mass demonstrations in Berkeley and elsewhere that have turned into riots, is similarly backed by left-wing donors, networks related anti-Trump resistance groups spreading North Korean propaganda. Many other things as well. At the DC's Chuck Ross first reported, Refuse Fascism is backed by a progressive charity that is in turn funded by left-wing financier George Soros, a major labor union, and several large companies. Now, he has parent companies for, you know, non-profit organizations. Like I first showed you guys, just the 50 mentioned non-profit organizations. The amount of money this man spent, I believe it's up to 19 billion recently for these types of things. What do you suppose his agenda is? What do you suppose he's trying to do and get away with? I understand the importance of people seeing this and understanding it, but at the same time, that's not enough. If you like the way, I mean, of what's left of it, but the true beliefs of our Constitution, and not just our Constitution, but your God-given right to be free, to be, you know, your own person without having to wake up every morning and answering, you know, a list of questions and told what you can eat, told what you can drink, told what you can watch, told what you can listen to. This is the communist methodology that they are so intently pushing us in the direction of. I mean, and like I said, it's not, there's big big players involved. You know, when you talk about Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, George Soros, when you talk about Ted Turner and Kellogg, and and Ford, the amount of money being thrown at this is more than any other thing receiving money. So there's not even close to a resistance to this, even from good media, people with good intentions, because they can't keep up. They're overgunned. All that's left is you and I, and hopefully people listen and get the message. So I beg you to share this video, and I beg people to do their own research, and I beg people to understand the gravity of situations such as what we are in with this man, George Soros. You know, I'm glad there was a petition for the White House. What happened? Even if the petition had, 6 times the amount needed, what do you think our government is going to do? Because our government is George Soros in a sense. They are all just puppets for these players. And there's so much more that I'm not even going to get into. I'm not going to have time to get into in this video. But like I said, I'll make more like I've made in the past. The money behind the transgender movement or the LGBT. And I'm not here to offend anybody. Each to your own. Keep whatever. But there has been an obvious agenda of that everywhere they possibly can. Now we keep in mind that Soros is a socialist. No, Lenin even says socialism is just a step to communism. So he is a communist, and one of his non-profit organizations is probably more than one even is a communist network. So that's what it is, communism. And man, that's a whole other thing. I'm gonna make a video on that alone, actually. So I'm gonna get on with this one. His money being thrown at all these different groups, especially, it's easy for him to manipulate minorities because minorities already have it bad in a sense, but not nearly as bad as some of these instances that they're showing. I understand that things aren't exactly equal as they should be, but prior to them in these recent years doing this division campaign, they were a lot better. It was almost non-existent, the racism between cultures, until lately. Okay, 3 years ago, a Supreme Court ruling paved the way for gay marriage. After it, the mainstream media had one question: what was next for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender movement? They had after all, won the big fight. In addition, many corporations had adopted policies barring discrimination based on sexual orientation, and 2 of America's most watched shows at the time, Modern Family and Glee, featured openly gay characters. I really do believe the Supreme Court ruling is the domino that is going to tip over the rest of the dominoes. Wilson Cruz, an LGBT activist, also a group funded by George Soros, told CNN at the time, "Do not get in the way of this train because it will run you the fuck over." To ensure things ran full steam ahead, billionaire George Soros, through his foundation to promote open society, dedicated at least $2.7 million to the cause that year, according to his tax returns. And that's from his direct tax returns. Now, if we remember that ladder that they showed us earlier, that money is also funded in different ways. That doesn't necessarily have to come from him. It comes from his organizations, so they would be on their tax returns. So God knows how much money he really spent on just the LGBT agenda, or the transgender agenda, or the Black Lives Matter agenda, or Antifa, or all these other things that he has so cleverly donated millions and millions of dollars to the tune of about $17 billion up to date. I'm speechless, guys, and I have been this way when it comes to not just him, but these super billionaires that are intent on destroying our way of life and our freedoms to exist the way we should freely exist, because they want control. I highly object. Please share this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. And to myself, I really do love you guys. Peace. I'm out.